What no one tells you is that you have to get really good at failing. I'm Justin Simien for IndieWire's Future of Filmmaking, and this is what no one tells you. Success is not possible in this town unless you get really good at failing. So, case in point, right? I had been working on the screenplay for like literally 8 years, called Dear White People. I had been using my Twitter account to test out jokes. I was out here in these streets, okay? And we create this trailer with my tax return. And the whole thing was to make you feel like the movie already existed, so that when the end came and I'm asking you for money, it almost felt like the reality was just beyond your reach. All you had to do is like give me some money. And so people gave me some money, and I raised like $25,000. Now, I don't know if anyone has told you, but films cost considerably more than $25,000 to make. And so I had done CNN, we had raised $25,000, still could not pay my rent, still could not figure out what to do next. I actually felt even worse than I felt before, because it felt like I had had this moment in reality that told me this was not just in my head, this really has potential, but there was still no viable path to make it. And that felt like such a failure to me. There were people who like raised their hands to potentially finance it that fell out. There were people who, like studios that said, hey, like maybe we'll develop this for a little bit, and that didn't work out. And yet I had this YouTube thing saying how cool this thing was that was coming, and it was successful, and he was on CNN, and oh my God. And the reality was not that at all. And I had to sort of maintain my delusional reality while living in the real reality, which was food stamps and, gigs to try to cobble up some money. What happened, though, with Dear White People is we just stayed the course. This would repeat itself many times in my career. None of these things felt like successes at the time. No one could have predicted streaming. No one could have predicted that it would have spun off a television show. There's so many ways in which like one has to just hold on to the personal delusion, okay? It's got to be a plausible delusion. It can't just be completely crazy. But none of the success of that came from the outside. It was from within out. It was constantly having to convince people, remind people, show up, stay in the game. Delusion goes a really long way. I tried so many things to break into Hollywood based on what people were saying was, trending or what audiences were looking for. But I don't know if you've noticed, I'm a black person. I'm also gay. And when I was looking around the landscape of what counted as black film in 2013, there was very little that I was seeing that like I felt compelled to personally make. What I was writing was this weird little hyper-articulate satire about how taboo it became for black people to start to mention racism. This is 2012 when I was writing Dear White People. And this was the kind of thing that absolutely no one would say to go for. Like, nobody was giving that advice. Everyone was saying, I had to sort of fall in line with this trend or that trend, but to just get out there and put something on YouTube and just, even though no film festival screenplay competition accepted the screenplay for Dear White People, to just get out there and be delusional enough to sort of, tell people, demand that there be an audience for this kind of thing. Telling the truth in Hollywood will get you in trouble. In Hollywood, if it doesn't get applause, right, it doesn't matter. And the truth very rarely gets applause. And oftentimes, if you're telling the truth about like a job experience or something, you have the potential of burning bridges. There's a lot of egos in Hollywood, and they are bruised very easily. And when you start like, telling people what it was like to work with so-and-so, and you're honest about it, so-and-so tends to not like that. And they tend to tell other so-and-sos at like private, fancy rich people retreats, not to work with you. And so I mean, one of the things I would say is that, like, when you're listening to anybody in Hollywood talking about anything, most of them don't know what they're talking about. And the other people that do, you kind of have to parse them. You have to listen for the note behind the note. I think that this is a town in which it's very performative. And if you are not used to performing, you're very vulnerable. Whenever I see those memes about, like, if you're not in a place that you can be yourself authentically, get out. Honey, Hollywood is not made for you. It's just not. If you're authentic all the time, you're going to end up in a ditch. I'm sorry, you're going to get punished for that.